Pursuit of happiness.
So I found this quote from actually John Stuart Mill, who's obviously he's dead now, very old. He died in 1873. So this quote's like 200 years old, and I think it's very relevant today, but I do think it's a little bit debatable. So the quote is, "Those only are happy who have their minds fixed on some object other than their own happiness." So think about that. So on the happiness of others, on the improvement of mankind, even on some art or pursuit, followed not as a means, but as itself an ideal end. So you can, and it goes on a little bit further, and it says, ask yourself whether you are happy and you cease to be so. So his whole mindset is that if you're focused, if your sole focus is being happy, you lose focus on what it is. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes on a little bit into the things like, I think a lot of people will sit there and say, oh, if I get this job, that'll be happy. Oh, if I get a boyfriend, that'll make me happy. If I can make $1 million, that'll make me happy. But when they get to that goal, they're still, it's almost like, yeah, you know what? I need another goal. You know, they're not necessarily, it's not fulfilling them. It might fulfill them in that moment. But like the the point of true joy and true happiness is when you see other people happy. And I think that's why, like at Christmas time, it's almost like the happiest times because you're giving to so many other people. Mm-hmm. And in that case, I do think, yes, that is part of it.
I agree with it.
100%?
I agree with it 100%. Because when you're outside of yourself, when you're focused on the struggle and the process, you're not really thinking about yourself or your happiness because I'm entrenched in the process. And I'm worried sometimes that when I get to the finish line, I'm not going to be happy because I've enjoyed being in the struggle for so long. So it's never about the happiness. It's about, am I in my purpose? And then giving to other people, there's nothing that makes you, a gift to someone else is really for yourself. It's not that other person, because ultimately the feeling that it gives to you when you bless someone else, dude, is really the reason that I think most people do it, man, because it makes you feel good. So I agree with it 100%.
Well, I knew you would, in the sense that, you know, we implemented the whole Follow Your Dreams board where everybody here. So, like, you know, it's like, it's for those that aren't familiar with what Marketing Box does and how we do it and kind of how we run our teams, is that we do have these monthly meetings where one person kind of gets up and will say their dreams, like their personal goals, things that they want to do. And everybody kind of gets behind them, supports them, and then we actually put it on the board so that everybody, when they're looking forward and pushing hard, they're also leaning on their friends, their community. They're sharpening like iron sharpens iron, and they're trying to help each other get to those goals. And I think that's, even though we really weren't thinking as, oh, that's what makes us happy, it is part of the pursuit of happiness of what we're looking to is when we focus on others and we're working hard to kind of elevate that. You know, I think that we see that through your kids. You know, it's, yep. You find a lot more happiness when you're trying to push them or push others, or when you're donating your time. It's like, it's kind of a weird thing, but if you think about it, some of my happiest times have been in the success others have had. You know, if I've had a part of that.
Yeah. Well, Goggins' latest book is called Never Quit. And it really does kind of edify what you just talked about, because what he's basically saying is that the object of life is to continue to improve, right? So the happiness of reaching a goal has to be very fleeting. You have to be able to process it, take it in, and then get moving again, right? That's the whole key of everything, because the minute that you get dormant and you think, I made it, then what else is there to live for? Like at that point, you know, like the struggle in getting to where you got is the beauty in the whole thing, man, because you can look back on it and the life lessons you've learned to accomplish that goal. The goal is just the goal. And as soon as you hit that goal, you're going to move the goalpost again. So just get comfortable in the struggle, because it's always going to be there. That's what I think living is. The struggle is really what's called living. And so when the struggle's over, life is over at the end of the day, or meaningful life. So stay in the struggle to get to the bitter end. I don't believe in this retiring and all this stuff. You have to stay challenging yourself. I'm a 57-year-old man, so I can speak a little bit more than a 20-something-year-old, because I've lived through more things. And what I've come to the conclusion is that I will be running towards a purpose until the day I die, because that's what living is. And I think that's what this guy is saying right there, is that I'm not focused on happy. I'm focused on just enjoying what I'm doing and really working towards a goal at the end of it. And I think that's the key to life, man.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So let's debate the other side of it. So if you're constantly worried about other people, it could be a negative, in my opinion. Like if you're worried about what your parents think or trying to please them, that can become a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like if you become a people pleaser. So there's got to be some type of middle ground in here too, because I do believe it's the pursuit of happiness of others, or in those goals where you finally true happiness. And I think really sometimes, I don't know, like if it's your parents, they could be guiding you wrong. And their happiness, there might be kind of deranged as far as what your essential goals are. So I think, you have to kind of find your little middle ground too.
Yeah, the whole people pleasing thing is a real bad track to go down, I think, man. It doesn't really get you anywhere, because sometimes people need the cold, hard truth, because that's really what's appropriate. And so being a people pleaser, I think, doesn't do anything for yourself, and it surely doesn't do anything for anybody else. So I don't think that's a good tactic.
Absolutely not. But I mean, it's the happiness. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like if you take this quote and you break it down, you could, just like in the Bible, you can read it and see two different ways how it's read. So you could almost interpret that, you need to follow your parents' guidance. That's what happens to do. And there's some cultures that is absolutely what they do. And they seem to still be very happy. Like I know we've talked about that with Eraj, that he's dedicated everything that he does to his parents. Yeah. But so I think it's just one of those things that it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. Happiness.
The pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit of happiness is equivalent to the pursuit of the struggle. Yeah.
You want to share your happiness. You almost want to sprinkle like sunshine wherever you go.
You can tell a happy person because they'll tell you hello. They'll tell you thank you. They'll go out of the way to hold the door for you. You can tell people that are focused, and it's got nothing to do with them, because they're always looking on what can they do to better somebody else's life as they're going through their day. Yeah. Have that kind of attitude. Don't have the other kind, man. This is the best way to do it. Just always be looking outside of yourself and find something you love and put your nose down and work your ass off, and good things will come. You almost can't have a bad life if you do those two things.